Greetings, brothers and sisters. I'm Pastor Keith, and welcome to another episode of A Pastor's Passion. The country of Israel is somewhere I've consistently wanted to travel. My pastor has been there twice, and as part of a group of other pastors in downtown Minneapolis, about 12 of them, my pastor's purpose was to go there to learn the culture and to take a journey to Israel to see where Jesus ministered and where he was born, etc., 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 even the 2,000-year-old olive trees. But in today's episode, I'm going to introduce you to Paula and Alex, who've been there numerous times. I met them when they were coming over to patron my cafe over at Books and Tea in St. Paul, Minnesota. And their story just struck me as being one that should be told. So in today's episode, I'm going to introduce you to Paula and Alex, who are Christian missionaries from Israel, who work here in the United States, but still have a heart for missions, and they travel back and forth to Israel quite often. Enjoy the interview. You'll learn a lot from it as I have, and I look forward to getting your feedback once you've seen it. Again, I'm Pastor Keith, and you're watching another episode of A Pastor's Passion. Have a great day. Paul and Alex, welcome. It's good to see you guys again. When we first met, it was, I don't know, maybe about a year ago, if not more, in front of my cafe in St. Paul. You guys were working in a house across the street, doing some remodeling. It was like to get that house back up to code and get it rented or sold. And then you met my pastor, who's a member of the Downtown Minneapolis Pastors Association, and he's been to Israel twice, along with the downtown pastors, and PBS has done the special, and they've aired it numerous times, and their journey of faith was quite interesting, especially when Rabbi Marcy from Temple Israel she received death threats while they were there. So, but for me, I was the technical liaison back here in the States with the video guy who was actually accompanying them on the trip. So it was quite interesting to see 2,000-year-old olive trees and things of that nature, and to see where some of the places that Jesus actually preached a sermon on and things like that. So tell me about yourselves and how you guys started, whether here or abroad or wherever you guys want to start.
I'll start with myself. Myself, personally, the product of missionary work in Ukraine, so I've seen missionary work firsthand. And moved here to the United States, and missionary was always mission work. It's always something on my heart. So Paula took trips. You can tell me she took trips to Israel several times with the tours. And before we got married, we were both on a tour. Walked around Tel Aviv and figured, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna get married and come back here.
Incredible. Yeah. So you have a heart for mission and a passion for doing the work of the Lord. How did that come about?
For me, like I said, because I'm product of missionary work. My life changed because of somebody who was there, helping me, spending time with me, whatever it is that they were doing. So my life is different because of that, and I want to do the same. So that's my part.
Each one reach one.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and Paula, how about you? Where did yours start? Originally back in, I guess, before you guys were married.
Yeah. I first became a believer. My brother started going to a Calvary Chapel in Menominee when that's near where we grew up.
Sure.
And so he brought me to church in St. Paul before I was a believer. And so God spoke to me that same night, excuse me, basically threw a sign in a window, basically said,
Wow.
trade in your old suitcase for a new. So, trade your old life in for the new life that I have for you.
That's
It's kind of
incredible.
funny now that I think about it, that he used suitcase as the example, because we've been traveling ever
Wow.
since.
That's
But
amazing.
attending that church was very Israel focused and very mission oriented. And so we would do a lot of mission trips in Israel, a tour every other year. And so a lot of time spent in Israel. And during the times when I would do mission work there, I met Stephen and Patricia Apple, who started
Sure, yeah.
Calvary in Tel Aviv. And so I'd go back a couple times on my own just to spend a couple weeks, serving with them whatever way I could. And then when we met and started, kind of God brought us together, and we were on a tour in Israel, and we were both thinking, well, we would love to come back here. We were talking about being married, so first things first, we needed to get married, and so we just followed the Lord's leading in that, and that happened pretty fast, within a year. Within a year we were married, and then within the next year we had our house all renovated and rented out, and all of our stuff put in storage, and then we went to Israel for 6 months, and then
Tell me about that first trip.
it was
That first trip together. How did that?
Together.
Yeah, the first trip to Israel together. Was that eye opening?
But first, as going on the mission, first trip, it was different because you're not there a short time, a longer time, so you have to kind of take in consideration you're going to be there longer than just a week, 2 weeks.
What are some of the things that you'd like to tell the faith community about the differences between some of the things that we take for granted here in the U.S. versus the reality of life on the ground in Israel?
There's a lot.
There's
There's a lot.
Yeah.
First you have to start with, people in Israel, they come from all over the world, and they come from places where they've been persecuted most of the time. So when they get there, they are in the mode of, I've been persecuted all my life, I'm gonna, they're in the fighting mode. Not that they wanted to be, they're nice people and everything, but they're not gonna let you go first.
They need to take care of themselves,
That's
basically.
Yeah, and so, it starts with people. Israel is a small country. They restrict on importing a lot of stuff, so everything that pretty much imported, stuff that we take for granted here, like deodorants and stuff.
Yeah, toothpaste, razors.
It will be expensive.
At least 2 to 3 times as expensive as here.
Wow.
And then just, depending on where you're at, for example, in Jerusalem, it's a very religious city, so there's more, not persecution, but more oppression or more effect from religion, from Jewish community.
If someone wanted to take a mission trip, and I know you guys have another one coming up this coming January 2015, if someone wanted to take a mission trip like the one you're about to go and journey on, what would they do? How would they get started?
Well, the first thing I think you need to consider finances,
Okay.
because Israel, Tel Aviv is extremely expensive.
Okay.
And I guess it depends on how long you want to stay as well, because for us, when we're there 3 and 6 months, to rent any kind of an apartment or anything for that time, you get a tiny little studio apartment that has no kitchen, and it's $2,000 a month to rent that space. If you're going to do just a couple of weeks or a week, there's hostels you can stay at, but then they're not going to be comfortable like you would expect here. But considering the cost of what you are able to or want to put into the trip.
Now, some of the mission trips that we've been on, hotels were out of the question. We go to tent cities, for example, and you stay out there, you pitch a tent, and you stay out there, and you witness and you minister to people. Is it kind of the same over there on a tour like you're about to take?
The tours are different.
The tours are different, and mission trips are actually...
Yeah, we're a little bit different than the tour. We live in Tel Aviv, and so we eat normal food, we go shop at the marketplace and buy groceries and stuff like that.
Sure.
Last time we never actually went to Jerusalem, for example.
Wow.
We didn't have time. We took a trip to Haifa, which is northern cities. We started fellowship in Bat Yam, which is a suburb of Tel Aviv. So we live there, and that's one of the things is interesting to see when people actually. We had one shopkeeper who said, "Oh, you guys been gone. Where do you go?" We said, "Oh, we went to the United States." He said, "Oh, on vacation." We said, "No, you don't understand."
Right.
That's why they live, yeah.
It's only reverse. So considering expenses, obviously, considering what it is that you're going to do. People are Israel being, multi-religion city or country. A lot of people show up there, and everybody
for different reasons.
For different reasons.
Sure.
And everybody has their own reasons, their own agendas, and so a lot of tourists and the locals are looking at you as your tourist. For them, it's different to treat you differently because you're here today, you're gone tomorrow, and then the next person comes, and so we have a ministry where we do soup kitchen in the park. We provide soup and sandwich and goods to people in the park, and everybody can come. And so people know that if tour comes, it's kind of like, okay, you give me something and you take a picture with me to show that you give me something, something like that.
Yeah.
So the people know that, and kind of they go along. But if you're there, and especially when the rockets are flying or when somebody's window breaks, they'll call you and ask you to come and fix it or paint it or whatever it is.
How often does, you mentioned rockets flying, how often does wars break out there, or is it consistent and constant, or is it sporadic?
The southern part of Israel, the rockets are on a daily basis usually.
Wow.
They're usually short-range rockets that just kind of, they launch them when they have in the field or they get intercepted. So far, Tel Aviv received rockets flying towards them, and so far I don't think any of them landed yet. They just put new Iron Dome, which is intercept rocket. There's one in southern part, and then they put it one by the Tel Aviv, southern part of Tel Aviv, so that if the rocket closer, intercept. That usually, so far we've seen it once a year, and like here you have tornadoes going on, siren goes off. There, if siren goes off, you just
it's rockets.
you just go to the shelter, stay away from
unimaginable. And I think it's unimaginable for a lot of people who live in the U.S. who have never been blessed by taking a mission trip. It's different. It really is. People here in the States don't really take it to heart the way they should. We take a lot of things for granted in terms of we get up and expect the lights to come on every day, and we expect running water and hot running water, and we expect to have clothes in the closet and be able to have food in the refrigerator. And I've seen and witnessed that in parts of third world countries that's not the case. So once a year, rockets are going off, and when it's in Tel Aviv, and the southern part of Israel is almost consistent. That's incredible. Are missionaries widely accepted throughout Israel? No.
You do not use the word missionary. There's actually anti-missionaries group.
Wow.
They try to keep you from coming or
Sure.
kick you out if they...
That's probably what my pastor's group ran into.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. So
what's the alternate?
Well,
if you don't say missionary, what?
We use word volunteer, which volunteer for because we help in the park and everything. So that's the main reason what we do. Our goal is to share God's love and take care of Israelis poor, and that comes in different ways. Whether it's medication, toothpaste,
whatever's needed, eyeglasses, hard to read a Bible if you can't see it.
Whether it's spending time with some people. There's a lot of, especially Bat-Yam has a lot of elderly people who immigrated from ex-Soviet Union countries.
Okay.
And they're just looking for fellowship. We will have them come in the park and they just eat soup and talk to you and want to know how your day was, tell you about their day.
Absolutely.
So
they want relationship.
Yeah.
And this last time we found, well, there was actually 2 men that verbalized that they're just lonely and they just want that fellowship. So when they see the love of God in the community of the church, they're just drawn to
That's
that.
impressive, isn't it?
Yeah. And in Israel, since it's, they've been told so many times you need Jesus, this and that,
Right.
and they're just like,
they hear that all the time. Yeah.
But when they see that love in your actions, in your life, then when they start asking you, what is it that you have this peace, that's your opportunity to share with them. So
sharing that testimony helps change people, help change people's lives. And that's absolutely true. Seeing the love of God is one thing. Hearing it all the time, the preachers all over. But that the Bible is crystal clear: faith without works is truly dead. And so if you don't go out there and put that faith into action, tell me some of the ways that you guys have put your faith into action on the ground here in the U.S.
Well, one of the things we started, and Stephen started, our pastor in California, we started with the training center because there are people who wanted to go to Israel and they wanted to prepare them to go. And so that's one of the parties. So twice a year he gets the group, and it's in Oceanside, and teaches them basic Hebrew, or basic way of sharing gospel with people. Not from the New Testament, for example, but from Old Testament.
Old Testament. I don't think really a lot of people understand that. That's really important.
Because like I said, basic Hebrew holidays. Israel has a lot of holidays. They love their holidays, and you better be prepared to celebrate those holidays the way they want you to celebrate it. So
because
it's a big deal for them. And so we prepare that. When we're here, we do have contact with people in Israel, especially now technology. We don't even get a chance to miss them. We get emails, phone calls, Skype. You can easily communicate with them that way.
Sure.
And also, when we come back here, we'll know what kind of supplies we need. We'll talk to people. If the group is going, we'll let them know. Okay, we'll go on toothpaste, toothbrushes, whatever it is.
What do you see the most need for? Like, for example, you're about to go there this January. What do you see needed the most? Is it basic essentials, food, clothing? Is it the toiletries? I mean, for the folks that will watch this and wanted to either donate or support your mission work, how do they get involved? What's the best way that they can do it? Toiletries, sure,
are always needed.
Okay.
And the one thing we suggest is not the big, like if it's a shampoo, not a big shampoo, but travel size.
Travel size.
And the reason being is because there's quite a few people who are either homeless or live in the park. There's always people that change from other countries. We had people from Eritrea or Sudan who were refugees, and they just live in the park. And
Eritrea, not Ethiopia.
Eritreans.
Wow.
And we actually, we had a gentleman who was working with them. We sent Bibles, and Amazon Bibles here, and then shipped it there in their language.
In their native language. That's important.
Yeah, and so that is always, we can always use it. Depending on the season, in the winter time, it's getting wet and cold, so we use rain jackets. Socks and underwears are always accepted. Just plain socks and underwears. With the season, things are changing. We used to have a medical clinic, full-size medical clinic. We had a doctor there that was from another country. He's back to his country. So we just need, for example, we used to need it like big things of gas and medical stuff. That stuff we don't need as much as, for example, individually packed Tylenol or sore throat candy or some stuff like that you can give to people in the park.
Paula, you mentioned gauze. Why did that stand out?
Oh, I guess he said it funny.
That's incredible.
But we did brought gas masks last time.
Wow.
We had
we did have gas masks.
Yeah, so we had the last time when it was tough there, we had backpacks for people in church with backpack with flashlight, gas, mask, some
Basic essentials in case if you were stuck in a bomb shelter, you know, like water and, you know, some food things that would sustain you if, you know, if that something happened. You
right,
know,
and you're down there for any length of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. How often does that happen? Has it happened to you guys while you've been on the ground?
We were in the shelter a couple of times.
Wow.
We were a couple of times on the street.
Sure.
And then also another thing is it just, you know, when you have Bible study and sirens goes up, do you continue? Do you tell people, you know, go take shelter?
Right.
You know, you have to discuss that with people, or usually when the rocket goes up. Last time, when the siren went up, the phones would be dead right away because there's so
No
many people.
communication, right.
And so you tell people that if, you know, I mean, if it's one rocket, then they're in a second, okay, but if it continues that way overnight or something, we'll meet by the shelter.
Right.
And we'll be there that, you know, we can count people, and people will call you, okay, then everybody's okay, so.
It's incredible.
So,
The average cost of a mission trip, can you give me just a general idea of, are people looking, if they just wanted to stay there for a month, what would they have to prepare for financially?
To stay for a month, you can stay at a hostel.
which is $25 a night,
Okay.
or $40 a day.
Somewhere between 25 and 40 a night, so you would have to
Okay.
consider that. Food, I guess it depends on the person,
Yeah.
but you know, a few $100s probably for food, because if
Okay.
you're in a hostel, they do have some cooking abilities there, but not, you know, to cook all your meals necessarily. And then
So hostels there are sort of like campsite or bed and breakfast here, or somewhere in between.
it's like you're renting a room.
Oh, yeah.
And that's it. It's a shared bathroom, if there's any kitchen area there. And then if you had a group of people, they have a dorm area that you can rent.
It's like a dorm.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Or if, you know, if you're a single man and you want to go in the men's dorm, you just rent that bed.
Wow.
And that's going to be cheaper, but then, you know, the security of your things that you bring with you want to kind of consider that. So it's nice to have a room that you can lock. Yeah, and the food, there's a lot of cheap enough food that you can get on the street that's pretty healthy, but the market has fruit and vegetables, you know, fresh all the time, so.
And the cost of the ticket for one person to go, or a couple to go round trip to Israel?
Last time, I think it's between $1,200 and $1,500 for one ticket, yeah.
So $5,000 would probably take two people on a mission trip for a month.
Yeah.
Pretty, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, another thing is to consider if you stay longer, when you enter on a tourist visa.
Tourist visa.
Okay. So you get your 90 days.
Sure.
And you know, if you stay there 90 days, if you want to come back, and that's what we do, you have to take your visa trip, what we call it, and basically you leave the country for a certain period of time and then re-enter the country. And
Okay.
pray that you get another 30 days or 90 days visa.
Right, because it can't be denied.
Can't be denied.
Yeah.
You know,
Last-
Yeah.
Last couple of times, we had several people who actually been working there, doing missionary work for a long time, and one couple were denied for the next 10 years. They cannot come back.
That's incredible.
And another, so more and more, they get strict about how long you can stay there. And that's rightly so, that's what they do. You know, that's the policy of a country.
Right.
You know, you have to think about when you enter the country. For example, if you're out there on Saturday, there is no transportation. You will pay.
You know, pay a lot more for
You will
taxi.
pay a lot of money for taxi, and you know,
Okay.
because taxi know that there is no way. There's just no way. We have a lady who lives in Bat Yam, which is southern part of Tel Aviv,
Sure.
suburb of Tel Aviv,
Okay.
and she comes for service on Saturday, which is not Sunday, it's Saturday.
Right.
She walks an hour and a half
One way.
one way because there's no way.
No
I mean,
buses.
you can bike, you can take taxi, taxi is going to be very expensive. They know that.
So just to get to worship
Yeah,
on a Saturday,
yeah, hour to 2 hour walk.
she'd walk you an hour to 2 hours.
And sometimes,
There and back.
yeah, and sometimes it's, in the wintertime, it's windy and rainy, strong wind, strong
That's
wind.
passion.
She's right along the
Yeah.
beach and
That's passion and commitment
Yeah.
and sacrifice.
yeah, she brings an extra pair of clothes because she knows she's going to be
Yeah,
drenched
she'll
by the
come
time
to,
she
to
gets there.
the place or meeting, and then she'll change her clothes because she's already wet with the clothes. And,
Incredible.
Yeah,
and
every
so,
week.
yeah,
Yeah, and she never misses.
you know, if you arrive on a holiday,
Mm-hmm.
You have to be careful on the holidays, especially.
uh,
Everything will
Or
be
everything's closed.
you know, it depends on the holiday. We arrived one time for, what was it?
Yom Kippur.
Yom Kippur,
Mhm.
big holiday, where even the airport gets shut down.
Yeah.
So, you know, you pray that your flight won't delay.
Right.
Otherwise, you know, they're gonna detour you somewhere or
So
something.
the pilot made a joke, he's like, yeah, but if we don't get in there in the next half an hour, we're gonna go to Greece. Because you can't land, yeah.
That's
everything shuts
amazing.
down.
Yeah.
Airport shuts down
Yeah.
on major holidays.
Certain holidays, they
Yom
close
Kippur
the
is a
streets
big
too.
one.
Mm-hmm.
Rosh Hashanah.
Rosh
Yeah, yeah.
So you have, that's why we prepare people to go there is, you know, you have to be prepared for
Wow.
that. I mean, you can't go buy groceries.
Right.
Here you are on the street, and
Yeah.
So you guys have had all this training and practical experience and hands-on giving and sacrifice. When are you going to write a book?
I never thought about
Well,
that. Actually, Stephen's wife, the pastor's wife, she
Sure.
wrote a book. It's called Trust, Rest, Obey.
Mhm.
And it was, she
Wow.
was sick. What did she have, pneumonia or something one time? And she was just writing down all of her memories from
For her
when they
grandkids.
started. Yeah, for her grandkids.
Is it published?
It is published.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay.
And someone said, oh, you should make this into a book. And then they just took it and did it for her.
Okay, sure.
And so it's kind of from the beginning, you know, it's been at church there for almost 11 years now, I believe.
Wow.
And so from the beginning, just the struggles when it was just her and her husband,
Yeah.
and then as things, you know, started to grow.
Did their ministry launch in Oceanside?
They were sent from Oceanside.
yeah,
Wow.
and they were sent from Oceanside. And, you know, for them, you know, they went there 10 years ago.
Sure.
There were still, I think the Lebanon war was there. in the
Yeah,
north.
they had a lot of the suicide bombings
Yeah,
at
So,
that time.
so they went there. And Patricia herself, she's Californian girl. She's
Mhm.
never been outside of the United States. She's comfortable in California where she grew up.
Shell shock.
Now she's there and
Yeah.
she
Away
sees
from
how
family.
this works, and you know it's different.
Wow.
You know, if you want to cook, you know, chicken soup, well, here's a chicken. You can
Right.
lock them and you know,
Yeah.
and cook it. You
Well,
know.
and in Israel, you walk almost everywhere you go. So if someone's considering a missions trip, consider your
Wow.
physical health.
Yeah,
Because a lot of times we'll have people that they'll come to serve with us,
sure.
but they have, you know, bad knee and they can't walk.
They can't, right.
And it's like, well, I don't know what to tell you, because either you get a taxi to come, you know, otherwise everybody walks
So
everywhere.
walking is quite common.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
there is public transportation. There is
Buses.
buses.
Mhm.
There's
Minibuses.
minibuses.
What about the presence of the military? Do you see that everywhere?
In
Or
Jerusalem,
in Jerusalem?
always.
Always.
In Tel Aviv, not as
Okay.
much,
I
yeah.
mean, you'll see.
Depends where you are.
Yeah, you'll see military. Obviously, you'll see a lot of military at the bus stop, for example,
Yeah.
Okay.
as they travel. You know, military people travel.
You'll
with
see
guys in the
people-
army.
Yeah, if you take the bus or the train, they'll be sleeping in the corner with their machine gun across their lap.
It's very serious, but it's funny to me because I really don't think a lot of Americans understand that.
Oh, it's
It's very
common.
real.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I remember in Jerusalem once, I took a picture, there was a young man and a young woman, probably in their 18, maybe 19 years old, eating a bagel at this fast food stand.
Sure.
He's got his machine gun across his lap and they're in plain clothes, you know,
Wow.
yeah.
Yeah, we have a gentleman. He started. We started home fellowship at his home, believers family.
Mhm.
They have 4 kids,
Mhm.
adult son, twins, boy and a girl, and the youngest one.
Mhm.
All 4 of them went to army. The youngest one in the army now. And when the rockets do fly, when Israel is getting ready to go into Gaza or something, all of the kids
They get
pulled
called
out.
up,
They
yeah.
get called out. And So you have presence of the military, then you have presence of security.
Okay.
If you go to bus stop, you will go through the metal detector. You go through, open your bag. I want to see what's
Just
there.
And there's armed
Public
guards.
transportation, just at the bus stop.
Just to get in the mall.
Just to get in the mall.
Or the grocery store, you have armed guards there.
Wow.
So that's something not to
Yeah.
be alarmed at, because it's actually, you know, it shows you that you're going to be safe.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it makes sure that nothing's going to happen.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you travel by train,
Yeah.
you go through the metal detector, you put your bag in, you know. So you just, you know,
You get used to it.
you get used to it, you plan on it,
Yeah.
you know they're gonna open your bag and they will profile you, and that's just the way it's gonna be.
Yeah,
Incredible.
yeah,
Back to that book.
yeah.
When you guys are going to write a book, you guys have been through a lot in terms of both individually and then together. The world needs to know, the faith community needs to know your experiences, and I'm sure a lot of people can learn from what you've been through and what you can teach them. Think about it.
Yeah,
I'd love to do it.
I never thought about it.
I think it's better with writing or communicating than me. I just say yes, no answer.
Well, and actually, for me, if I were to, because I'm a publisher, the way I would approach it is to take all this stuff. We would sit down and let the tape or camera roll, and then we would take all that stuff and I would write, ghostwrite chapters and bring it to you and let you say, yeah, this is okay. I'll change this. No, let's move this up here. And yeah, but I think you guys should put together a training manual for how to take a mission trip to Israel the right way. Yeah, because I know, for example, again, my pastor and a group of downtown pastors have been twice. I'll send you the link to their PBS special. It's called Journeys of Faith, and they went to Israel twice. They had no clue. There was no training. They just got on a plane, not knowing, even the second time, they had no clue. They didn't know what to expect. And the second time they went, there was a death threat. Rabbi Marcy Zimmerman at the Temple Israel here in Minneapolis received a death threat. How do you deal with that? So those are some of the things I think you guys would be invaluable to help people understand what the reality is of taking a mission trip to Israel. That's incredible. Yeah. So, yeah.
Seriously,
Yeah, we can take more trips.
Yeah. Well, next time
Absolutely.
there you go.
Yeah,
Put something
just
together.
absolutely. Just take a journal. Just start using, your
Every
journal
time we think
and
about
notes,
something.
or well. And this brings me to my next point. How is technology being used there in mission work? And let me segue by saying, when you're there, you guys on a mission trip, are you able to access email and things of that nature?
Yeah, I mean, Israelis are known for their technology. I mean, there's like Silicon Valley almost there.
Sure.
There's Google. So the phones are there, the email are there.
Wireless internet.
Wireless internet.
Wow.
Most of the coffee shops will have internet.
Okay.
So in right now there's a boardwalk over the sea in Tel Aviv. The whole world has free internet. So technology is there.
Okay.
It helps us. Communicate, pay bills if you're outside of the United States. So that is not a.
So that's not an issue.
That is not an issue.
That's very good. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the main thing is just to love people.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's difficult to love. You have two people and they both strongly believe that this is the way it is, and how do you reconcile them? And they're both right.
Yeah.
But then we have to bring them together.
Like a lot of times in the women's Bible study. I mean, different than women's Bible studies here where nobody wants to talk. You can't get them to stop talking.
Wow.
So you have to reel it in a lot of times, and you'll have one Israeli lady that's from Greece and one Israeli lady that's from South Africa, and they're both
Different
agreeing.
views, right.
But one's thinking of it from this side, and one's
Right.
thinking of it from that side, and it's like you have to stop them and say, no, stop fighting. Let's,
Amazing.
you're saying the same thing.
Right.
But to be able to explain, the different biblical, things and the importance.
Are there a lot of Americans in Tel Aviv?
Yes.
Yes.
American embassy is there.
The embassy's there.
And so there's a lot of Americans, a lot of people on business.
Sure.
our church it's just multicultural.
Yeah.
Bizarre looking thing.
The way it should be.
Yeah.
Because we have people who come for business work from Singapore,
Okay.
and they're believers, so they go and find where we meet, and so they come. We have people from Egypt who just got relocated for the work purposes, so they come in. And so our church is multicultural.
Sure.
Now there's obviously we're always trying to reach the local people, and the local people, I mean, we have Greek, we have ex-Soviet Union, we have German, we have from all over the place.
People that immigrated, a lot more French people are coming.
Yeah, now that there's a lot more French people coming, so
they're Israeli, but a lot of them have come from somewhere else. Originally.
Yeah. I am currently going to start filming probably next week or week after a documentary called Street Signs. And if you're driving down the street in Minneapolis even, and you see people holding up a sign, most people think they're asking for money.
Yeah.
A lot of times they aren't. Most of the time they aren't. So I'm going to do a documentary and let them tell their own story. How in Tel Aviv or Jerusalem or the southern part of Israel where there is lots of war, how do the homeless over there survive? How do they deal with being homeless there? What do you see?
I think Tel Aviv has more homeless. And the reason being is because it's a big tourist area.
Right, more liberal.
Yeah.
More resources there?
Yeah, more tourist people.
Okay,
So
sure.
that means more
ability to actually interact and actually be supported.
Yeah.
There is several parts where a lot of refugees live.
Okay, but are there more homeless shelters in Tel Aviv?
There is. I have not seen a homeless shelter.
Okay.
But a lot of other organizations and ministry will have like a soup kitchen.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Not so much homeless shelter.
So the ability to actually get food and be fed and be ministered to with nowhere to really sleep.
Pretty much, I think, yeah.
Wow.
Israel did start doing more like a shelter, more like a camps, refugee camps.
Like 10 cities.
10 cities, yeah, for the refugees in from Sudan or from Ethiopia.
But Israel, not.
Israel, the government,
Right.
and Israel set that up.
Yeah.
Well, because there's so many, but to send them home is, would cost their lives.
Well,
And a
yeah.
lot of them risk their lives just
Just to
get
come
there.
and get right,
And so they made more in the southern area, closer to Eilat, I guess. There's
which is
some
where the
camps.
war is going.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
On Friday evening, before Shabbat, the big market, the open market area, they will, if they can't sell stuff, they will just kind of put it out in the street and give it out.
There's a lot of stuff that they put out.
And people are easily to go and pick through, and we have a bunch of them, and Paula's helping them a couple times where they'll find people they'll see people picking it at something, and they'll just get a care package and give it to them, and they love that. So those are food available. Not so much, it's mostly going to be vegetables, fruits.
Yeah, not so much meat.
Not so much
meat.
meat. So when we do soup kitchen, we're trying to do like a chicken soup with lots of chicken in there.
Sure.
People love it. A lot of those people will not have a good teeth, for example. They can't.
No health care. Dentists are there, but they don't have the ability to afford it.
Even the people that have money can't afford the dentist there. Yeah.
Okay.
And the dentistry that they do find is not always great. We have a couple friends that are just, working with them.
Sure.
Because I'm a dental assistant, so it's, kind of helpful to go and be with them during the processes.
Now, I would have expected, because you have the resources such as your Silicon Valley and Google, et cetera, that the healthcare industry would be sort of at the upper level.
The healthcare itself, the technology itself, is an upper level.
Okay. But the care
to get in, for example, if you see somebody on the street, say, you see them in pain,
right?
If you are to call an ambulance, somebody has to pay for that ambulance to come.
Sure.
So the person on the street obviously cannot do so.
Right.
So they, if the person is dying, they'll do whatever the best they can, but somebody has to be responsible to pay for them. So the healthcare itself, yes, it's very high. We've been to hospitals and it's a high end.
So it's high quality.
High quality.
Okay.
But to get into that, you have to be.
Well, and I know that, I don't know all of the details, but there are services for people there. But a lot of the people on the street are either alcoholics or on drugs.
Okay.
And they...
No different from states.
Yeah, and they come to the point where they won't go through the steps that are required for them to receive those benefits.
Okay.
And so that's where a part of the problem comes in. And some of them, they don't want to be better because they get more donations from, the tourists and people walking by. If they have open sores on their legs, they don't necessarily want them to be healed.
Yeah.
Just like in Jesus' time.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same.
They ask them for money so they can go buy alcohol or drugs, which are easily available on the streets.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the churches there. What are there the same kind of different and varying denominations over there, or is it more centralized toward Christian? What do you see? Because like here in the States, you've got Baptist, Methodist, evangelical, you've got just all these different denominations. What's the difference between the United States and all the denominations versus what you see in Israel, or Tel Aviv, even inside Israel?
I don't think you really see any denominations.
Not much
for the most part.
denominations.
You'll see like in Jerusalem, they'll have the Greek Orthodox Church.
Sure.
But I don't know to what degree they do,
Okay.
that outreach.
There's a lot of ministries, but not necessarily churches. Actually, itself. They do have fellowship.
Okay.
Actually, the people that they have a coffee shop that would serve free coffee, and it's
They're Messianic.
Messianic, yeah. Messianic. I guess the main difference between denominations, there's Messianics who believe that Jesus, if I correctly understand it, he's not in the...
He's the Messiah, but he's not God. There's a lot of the Messianics believe that way. So there's, some difference. It's the same God that we serve, but there's differences in understanding. But as far as like a regular church in Calvary, Tel Aviv, it meets just like a Calvary Chapel would be here.
Wow.
It teaches just, from the Bible, what the Bible says, and ministers the same way, reaching out to the poor, helping people in need, basically getting the gospel to the people.
Right.
And we have people that come to church, some of them more Pentecostal than others. Some of them more mature than others.
Yeah.
Okay.
We would do like small Bible study one time, and this lady who is more Pentecostal, and she's more mature, as I was explaining scripture, she's like, well, it's written, it's understandable, it's just move on, done deal, it's just go to the next topic, where somebody new, they don't understand.
They won't, right.
And a lot of people are afraid that if you become a believer, that, you no longer a Jew, that is the main thing, and yes, you're still a Jew, you still can celebrate your holidays, and those holidays point to Jesus, and so,
Well, and another thing they're taught, growing up, that if there's some place that they're talking about Jesus, you don't go in there. You don't even go in. Because we have some girls, like that one girl came in the door, she goes, can I come in and listen to the lecture even if I don't believe what you're saying? And we're like, of course you can come in, come in and listen.
So not so much denominations, but just varying differences in terms of how the approach to the gospel is wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. All right, that's all the questions I have. I'll let you guys just talk and tell me what you want to say. Tell me about the radio interview.
Radio interview went well. It was our pastor who just asked us quite a few questions, and then we talked about the training center and what we do there. We wanted people to know that it's a real church. It has, you have a Sunday school, Saturday Sunday school for kids.
Sure.
You teach kids, and then you have worship, and you have Bible study, fellowship, So it's more like a real church, Wednesday Bible studies. People love have fellowship. So on Saturday, usually we always go somewhere to have fellowship. There's a couple of McDonald's and other places that are open on Saturday, so we can go and have a cup of coffee and some snack or something. And we do it every Saturday pretty much. And that's one thing we do is movie nights. People love movie nights. And so we would open a church apartment where we live. And we'll say, okay, we'll have two movies. First one would be kid-oriented. The second one would be more adult, nothing bad, but whatever the more action.
Sure.
Parents will know this way they can dismiss kids, provide food for them. And people they always call us, say, let's do movie night, let's do movie night.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Any chance to get together for fellowship and just to hang out and talk.
I do want to actually add one more question.
Yeah.
What do you think is the reason, and I study this a lot, I even go back to, I've been studying Genesis and Exodus for another book that I'm writing now. And in the latter part of the chapters of Exodus where God continues to tell Moses and Aaron's sons about why you need to keep the Sabbath. What do you think is the reason that Americans worship or fellowship on Sunday and the rest of the world still keeps the Sabbath?
Yeah. I actually don't know the reason. I believe some people believe that the resurrection happened in different days or something. I know good friends of ours who do believe in Shabbat, Saturday.
Right.
I think the main reason was not when was it exactly done, but the idea of resting. The day where you rest, you spend time with family, and that's where it starts on Friday, sundown. It's then Jesus says the Saturday was not given. What is that?
The Sabbath was not given to them, to man, but man for the Sabbath.
Yeah, and so it's the idea of resting and spending time with family.
Sure.
Having a dinner, usually it includes meal and everything. So.
And God is quite clear, no work.
Yeah. Well, Jewish, the Orthodox Jews did take that very seriously.
Very literally, yeah.
Very literally. And I mean, we've seen it where they will not turn the stove to warm up the meal.
Wow.
Otherwise they'll consider work, so they have to go to the neighbor who doesn't believe the same way and ask him to come in and turn the stove on.
A friend of ours, they do that.
That's right.
I mean,
I mean, if they shut the entire airport down,
yeah.
you know it's serious.
Yeah. No, well, in Israel, they just have the one day off. So as it's approaching sundown on Friday, people have a short work day on Friday so they can get home before the sun goes down.
Yeah.
And then through Saturday, and then the work week starts again on Sunday.
On Sunday, right.
So that's, their big, time for their rest.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So I don't know the exact origin where it comes, Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
Somebody wanted to go probably.
Well, yeah, I'm sure.
Whatever it is, the reason is to have it day of rest. I think that's the main thing.
What are some of the strangest things you've run into on your mission trips? Absolutely. Yeah. This is where the fun happens. You don't want to start with something strangest things with this.
Okay.
Yeah, the strangest things.
So obviously the holidays are the big thing.
Sure.
There's things about holidays.
All right.
There is for Passover, you have to get rid of everything that has leaven in it.
Yeah.
Now, there's a list of things that rabbi approve and disapprove to have it in your house for that Passover.
And that list grows every year.
Wow, for about 200 pages. If you wanted to. So,
incredible.
Yeah.
So that is always there. You have a grocery store.
Sure.
Where they don't want to get rid of stuff, but what they'll do is they'll just cover it with the plastic.
Yeah.
And say whatever is there is not for sale.
Wow.
Which then people who don't really care about celebrating that way will just take that stuff and walk out the store, because if it's not for sale, then I'm not stealing what's for sale.
And they let them take it.
So that would be holidays are always
A lot of rules of
rules,
Wow.
Just people in general are, because they're from all over.
Just on your daily experience of shopping, like that where we stay, there's a little market on the corner, and to go and buy a loaf of bread takes you 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Just the little shopping, because you'll go to the counter,
Sure.
and then someone will cut in front of you and get in line, and then the lady that's taking the money will call on her phone and have a conversation, and then someone will step in from the street and ask directions or something. She'll stop what she's doing, answer to that person, and then by the time half an hour's gone by, you get to buy whatever it is you came to get.
That's funny. That's amazing, though.
And it's very common.
I think Americans who have never been on a mission trip, and even I know a lot of Minnesotans who have never been out of Minnesota, would be they would get rude awakening.
I mean, the stores are small. They're Walmart, super centers and stuff.
Yeah.
So you have, for example, your daily shipment or shipment. Sure. It's the pallets that sit outside a store, and people carry through the doors that you enter stuff into the shelves.
Correct.
They'll do it during the daytime and as you shop. So that's, people not used to, that you can't just go and buy something that you want. A lot of imported stuff is very expensive. We had somebody who went to Dr. Pepper, and it's equivalent of $7
For a can.
just for a can of Dr. Pepper. I mean, there's other lemonade that you can buy that is local, but if you want to be that specific, you will pay specific price.
Yeah. Well, and another thing for shopping, you'll have one store that sells shoes. You'll have another store that sells like kitchen supplies.
Okay.
And one that sells cleaning supplies. So you don't just go to one store and get all that you need.
So no Walmart.
No Walmart.
That's incredible.
Nothing like it. But, the market is called the Shook. It's an open market.
Sure.
And they have everything from fresh meats to fruit, vegetables, and then all those little side streets with those kinds of stores.
Incredible.
But then you have to remember when you're going shopping, you're walking with whatever you carry.
Whatever, right.
Yeah, you're carrying it home. So, you have to plan ahead when you're planning your shopping trip.
I'm still amazed to hear that on Saturday, pretty much transportation shuts down. So if you're trying to go and fellowship at Shabbat, you may have to walk an hour and a half, 2 hours to get there, and then maybe back.
Yeah, there's a privately owned little minibus.
Sure.
Shrewd. They run major points, so like a bus stop to the main downtown area to the main. So they will run
But
on Shabbat.
But not from every city.
Not from every city, and not between cities.
Is it affordable?
It's more expensive. And Shabbat is always more expensive.
Yeah.
But then also, we lived in one area to where we had to take one. For example, he has 10 seats. Until he puts 10 people in there, he ain't going anywhere. So if you're going to the church anywhere, we just have to sit in there, and we have actually one girl who,
So it was a quicker walk.
Well, not from where we were sitting, but in some places it's just too far.
That's incredible.
And so people will come in late because they're just like, well,
That's just the way it is.
bus driver just didn't want to go until he gets in. He doesn't want to drive with half empty minivan.
It probably wouldn't be financially conducive for it.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of little things like that are just peculiar to what we're used to.
you just have to get used to very good coffee. Israel has a very good coffee.
Sure.
Even McDonald's will have very high-end cappuccino machine, and they'll make the good coffee.
Well, that's one thing too. A lot of people that have in the States issue with dairy, things like that, they don't have it in Israel.
Explain that.
Well, I was actually, like if you have, if it causes lactose intolerant, you will not have as much issue, most likely, with dairy in Israel.
Not a lot of processed foods. I mean,
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and the same with, some of the breads and things. We had the last time we were there was a couple that came from the training center, and they came to start fellowship in Bat Yam. And he wasn't supposed to eat bread or any of those kind of things, but he would have it every day. Yeah.
But when he got over there, he was
Yeah.
going to eat it every day.
Yeah, without this problems that he would have if he were to do that here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's, the food is fresher, there's not as much processing, yeah.
Yeah, the food part itself is
The
amazing.
diet's
The
healthier.
diet's healthier.
We had a lady one time, she was having some acid reflux, and her doctor said, to cut back on the acidy things like tomatoes, and she goes, well, if I can't eat tomatoes, what am I going to have for breakfast? Because they eat cucumbers,
Sure,
tomatoes,
yeah,
salad,
yeah.
every meal of the day, that's like their staple.
Wow.
Or here it's donuts, and stuff like that, so the diet there is definitely a lot healthier than here.
So that part is good. You walk a lot, so that's
That's
yeah,
good.
That's healthy.
it's
Yeah.
healthy for you.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why a lot of bicycling? A lot of cycling?
If you're from Holland.
Well, there's a lot of bicycles. Yes, there's a lot of bicycles, a lot of mopeds that are not following the street rules. There's,
Oh, that's
they can
good.
drive on the sidewalk easily.
That's
no
another
problem.
thing that's very unusual. Yeah.
So that sounds like London and Amsterdam.
The
Yeah.
ambulance will-
The Tel Aviv itself, pretty much everybody that's local there owns a dog.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, the dogs are welcome everywhere.
It's like it's a child for
Sure.
a lot of people.
Yeah.
So you will see a lot of dogs and a lot of people smoke. The restaurants, if they ask you, do you smoke, you usually say yes when I go to restaurant. Because
Okay. Everybody's healthy, but then they're killing themselves with smoking.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but that's,
Wow.
it's kind of European, it seems like,
Yeah.
most places in Europe,
Yeah.
smoking is still a really big
Yeah,
thing.
Denmark and
Yeah.
especially in Amsterdam. There's a cigar shop at
Everywhere.
Yeah.
five on one block in Amsterdam. Yeah.
And so they smoke.
It's
That's incredible.
noisy, yeah,
It's
television's
noisy.
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 A lot of
Yeah.
mopeds really obnoxiously loud
Sure.
all the
A
time.
lot of tall buildings or
Yep.
a lot.
Yeah.
Tall and short. I mean, and that's the thing. You will see in the business center where it's like skyscrapers.
Okay.
And then you will see this old, 3-story buildings that are piping is on the outside of, and they turn them into rooms. It's overpopulated, and so they turn it into the room.
That's incredible.
And the closet is going to be room for rent. So
Yeah.
Tel Aviv has a big university, Tel Aviv University, so it's a big student area.
Okay. Yeah, University of Tel Aviv is very popular.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's a big one
That's amazing.
to where, yeah.
Anything else?
If anybody wants to do a mission trip,
Yeah.
highly encouraged to do it.
Okay.
Because it's an experience that's like none other, I think, being able to serve, meet the people there, and just, be able to, just give them that love that God's given you. It's just amazing.
But Paula is the greatest need, and if somebody was to go from the United States for the first time, where would you recommend they go? Would it be to Jerusalem, or would it be to Tel Aviv, or would it be to land in Tel Aviv, stay there, and then do the mission work in Jerusalem, or how would you recommend that?
Probably find
Yeah.
what ministry they want to be involved with, because
Sure.
there's several of them throughout the country. Like we have
Okay.
a friend that has a ministry on that southern area.
Okay.
It's always getting the bombs there.
Yeah,
They
they
do-
remodel in shelters.
Yeah, they
Okay.
remodel shelters, they provide food and meals for the people there, and,
So find the ministry first.
find the ministry you want to be involved with, and contact them
Okay.
and see, what do they recommend.
What the need is.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah, and my suggestion, the first time, if you first time go to Israel, do the tour.
Yeah.
We had several groups who would come and say, we want to serve with you 3 days or 4 days. Shall we do it at the beginning of the tour and the end of the tour? We always say at the end of the tour.
yeah,
Let people see stuff, because if they get stuck with us in Tel Aviv,
Right.
and they want to see.
they want to see stuff,
Yeah.
and we just can't take them and show them everything that the tour provider can do.
Mhm.
So we recommend them to go see stuff, and then you can spend the rest of the time serving.
Is Palestine accessible these days?
Yeah,
So you can get to like Bethlehem and places like that. I think there's a special security there used to be,
Mhm.
where you have to go through, and you can
Yeah.
go
Yeah, because we drove through some of the areas, but they will have signs everywhere saying that Israelis are not to enter.
Sure.
But if you're a tourist, you can enter there. So yes, it is available.
And they'll take tours, tour groups will go into those areas.
Okay.
So, you can get in there. And I know there's ministries in those places too.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, finding, first of all, what is it that you want to help with? I know in Tel Aviv, there's a ministry for the, prostitution and the drug abuse. There's just different ones all over the country, different things if you want to get involved in. Yeah.
How's the school system there? What's the differences between there and here?
Okay, and that's one thing also to know with the school system. First of all, in school system, they are encouraged to communicate with teachers, so they will argue with teacher. That is debates. They encourage to do that. Kids, they will talk back to you. Even at Sunday school, they will talk back to you. That's just they will. Most schools, the rabbis are part of a government, so it is a lot of them are religious school.
Okay.
One thing you're not allowed to do is to talk to anybody under 18 about any kind of religion or, especially Jesus. But I think it applies to any religions. Anybody under 18, it's illegal to do so.
Wow.
Now, if they ask you a question and you just want to explain, that's fine. But you cannot just approach somebody and say, hey, or do concert and
So no evangelism under 18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing you can't do, like if you give a meal,
Sure.
you can't like attach a track or anything to it, because then it's like you have to listen to this or believe this before you can get this.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that you can give the food and you can have tracks available, but you can't force them or require them to take it to get the meal or whatever you're handing out.
So when we do ministry in the park, we just, anybody from the street, we have bus drivers come in, just, here's the soup, here's the sandwich, if you wanted to, please eat and enjoy it. And people like it, and they ask for seconds or something.
Sure.
We don't do tracks. Those are other, Just for Jesus are a big organization, and they do tracks and a lot, and they have their own way of doing it. We don't do tracks just because we
Not
want
so
people
much.
to know us before.
Right.
We'll give it to somebody who just going to ask a question, but we want people
Well, because
to know us.
that's the thing that we found, is like when we went for our first 3 months, people were nice to you and, they were, in church even, but until we came back for that second 3 months, people didn't really give us any kind of time of day, I guess, until they see that you're committed to them. And it took that second 3 months, that first half of a year before they took us seriously that we cared about them. Because otherwise they're like, oh yeah, we'll just put up with you till you go, and then you're not coming back again. But when they start seeing you over and over, that's when they trust you. And that's when they'll let you help them or ask you the questions. And
for those who do want to go study the culture, you can really shut somebody down without even knowing it. We had this Jewish lady, she's been raised with strict Jewish traditions, coming to church. She's still part of the church. And somebody brought a gift for her, a hat, and they want her to put it on. And they just, please put it on, right for you, please put it on.
she covers her hair with a handkerchief, or a scarf.
And until she finally said, well, you don't understand, I can't undo my hair in front of a man here. That is where you have to know that, simple thing as, and we'll tell people, for example, here, if you have a Bible, some people, if they sit on the chair, they can put it on the floor while they get up or something. There, for them, it's the Word of God. You do not put the Word of God on the floor.
Right.
It's a big,
You set something on top of it.
So it's a,
Study the culture.
Study the culture,
Thank you both.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it, and I know our viewers will humbly appreciate it. I really don't think a lot of people understand the differences between the faith that we know here in the United States versus the faith in the work involved in maintaining that faith once you cross. Yeah, once you cross the water into a country such as Israel. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. It's amazing to have you, to meet you outside of, well, you guys came in as customers into my cafe, and then you met my pastor there, who's been in Israel twice, which I'm still trying to get there. But the thing for me is to know somebody who's been there several times and that can speak to the nuances and the way things work, and to be able to tell some other people who may be looking to go there. That's invaluable to me. It really is. So thank you. I really appreciate it. Anything, closing thoughts? Anything? Study the culture, we know that.
And go.
And just go.
Don't let the news keep you from going.
Sure.
And I think it's the right word, wherever God called you, whether it's Israel, France, or Italy. There's always going to be a reason why not to go, but you're blessed if you do go.
One of the things that I've learned just in being in active ministry the last 18 years is that God just simply wants us to take that first step. He wants you to be willing. He doesn't wait for people to become perfect in order to let them lead, teach, preach, or witness to people. He uses willing vessels, and most of the time he uses those willing vessels with weaknesses, so that his strength and his power and his anointing can shine through, because he needs to get the glory. And that's the one thing that I think a lot of differences between helping people understand what a mission trip actually is versus them seeing an advertisement or a commercial on television. It's a lot different than that advertisement.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you. I really appreciate it.
I think sometimes people think of mission trips as, in one hand, it has, Indiana Jones crusade, you live in the tents, you dig in the dirt, which for some people it is. And other people think as of this glorious, especially Israel, it's like a whole land country, vacation, and it is a blessed country, it is a beautiful country, but it also has a lot of work. So whatever the place people go to is,
just do something.
Just do something, and then you're gonna miss out on something one way or another. I mean, when we're there, we miss out on being here. So it's just
incredible.
Just the way it is.
Thank you both. And say hello to your pastor and his wife, and I will get her book and take a look at it. That's very interesting to know. But I'm really going to encourage you both to take your journals and your thoughts and put it down on paper and put out a training. People need to know this stuff. They really do. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good to see you both.
There you have it. Inside Israel from the eyes of two missionaries, Alex and Paula, who have been there over a dozen times on tours and mission trips. Again, my pastor has been to Israel twice, with a group of 11 other religious leaders from downtown Minneapolis. During both their trips, I was the technical liaison here in the States. I received the pictures and the blog entries while they were on the trip, which I posted to a website so the various congregations could see and read them. To watch the video from their trip, which aired many times on Twin Cities Public Television, go to Amazon.com and search for Footsteps, A Journey in Faith. I'm Pastor Keith. Thanks for watching. May God bless you and may He keep you today and always. In Jesus' name, amen.